So, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, the 9th of October. Just doing an open Zoom today, one that welcomes anybody that wants to know about Sanomentology. Obviously, it's not a well-known word yet. People are querying, what is it? Things like that. It's a very informal day. I'm not sure how long it's going to last. That depends on you guys and how much you want from it. And as with all my training as well, anything you want to ask, anything you want to say, just jump in. There's no wait till the end. Don't interrupt me on that. I'm a friendly guy. I don't bite heads off. Let's make it a bit sort of fun for you as well. I don't want to just be talking all day and boring the pants off you. So yeah, anything you want to know, jump in. For those of you watching on recording, if you have any questions or anything you want to say, just post it in the comments or message me direct. Multiple ways, which you'll find through the website and through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, however you want to find me. Before we start, has anyone got anything they want to say or anything they want from this? Anything sort of, any particular reason you've joined or anything you want to feedback on first, thinking about the new ones and the members already? No?
Morning.
Joanna?
It's Joanna here.
Yeah.
I just fascinated by it. I think I've said in the past, I've done so much training, and I really just, it's very useful to be able to see an example, a visual of it.
Yeah.
And obviously to meet everyone.
Yes, I mean, we've got some great team members here online. I'm hoping some do join us soon. I'm sure about 20 said they were coming on. Yeah, I'll talk about the difference between this and the other training as well. And hopefully, like I said, some of the others can come in. I mean, Sue's just finished her hypno training as well, which she's done alongside Sanomentology. Helen's only done this, haven't you? Alexandra's done all sorts, body code and stuff, others on here. So hopefully they can give some feedback as well on the benefits of this over everything else. Alexandra, I just got to say, you look like you're posing for a glamour shot because you've got the wind just blowing your hair about. It's like, it's one of those positions there.
You know, it's Thailand. It's hot. We always used fans here.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely freezing here today. And I haven't been in the centre for a week, so I turned the heating off as well. So I walked in this morning. It was like, ooh, let's get that heating whacked up. So, yeah, hopefully, Johnny, you'll get something out of this today. You'll find out why I've developed it, what makes it different from the training you've already done. And it is unique to all the other hypno training and counselling training and other stuff in its approach. Anyone else want to just drop in with their own thoughts on this? The people who've trained with me already. It's better coming from other people than myself because obviously I'm going to try and sell it. That's what I do. Anyone?
As a trainee in June, having just lost my mother, it went straight to the core and I didn't realise how fast it would get there. It didn't stop the grief, but it made it less painful.
Yeah, we don't stop grief.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, we don't stop grief. Grief is essential for healing.
I was very quiet. I was very quiet on the training, but I wanted to do the training because I'd waited a while to do it, and it's been recommended to me by another guy who was on the hypno course.
Yeah.
Kurt, and
that's it. Kurt Mabry is great
yeah.
work.
And what I found was I didn't expect very much, other than to do the training to make notes and things. But as I say, within a couple of days, I was like, oh, I was in tears every day. Yeah. And it just went, as I said, it just went straight to the core. And although it was a painful process to go through, I can't say, like I say, it didn't cure the grief. It sort of reset me a little bit so that I was better able to cope with it. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. And just to reiterate from my angle, and obviously during the training we talk about grief, you don't remove grief. It is an essential part of the healing process. However, what causes the biggest issues around grief are the other emotions, those of anger, remorse, guilt, other elements that come in. And what we do is we can help with those, which makes the grief process easier, if you like. It's never easy, but it makes it more bearable, and it allows you to function easier. So although we don't do the grief, we do the elements of the remorse and stuff. When somebody, grief's not just somebody dying, it's loss of a job, divorce, all sorts of angles. And there's always that, what if I'd done this? Or I can't believe I didn't say that. My last words were in anger. There's all these sort of other things going on. And they're the bits that we need to help with.
I think the thing for me was being given permission to think that it's okay to feel like that.
That's it.
Which doesn't make sense at all. But when you've got the paperwork and all the crap around the funeral and everything to sort and support an elderly parent, the other elderly parent, it's okay to be worried. It's okay to feel crap. It's okay to weep or whatever. And that's what it did for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, thanks for that, Sue. Valuable sort of insight there. Thank you. Anybody else? Nope. You're smiling away there, Alexandra. You don't wait for you to speak. No, it's okay. Jump in later. Okay. Who am I first? As I said, I'm Martin Rothery. I've always had an interest in the body, the mind, those sort of aspects. And my original plan at school was to train for the physical side, as in brain surgery, etc. I'd had enough of learning and I just jacked it all in, but I'd always carried on taking an interest in the deeper stuff as well. Law of attraction side of things, I'd got my own thoughts and ideas back in 1984, which was 20 years before The Secret came out. Was that 2006 or was it 96? Can't remember. Many years before The Secret came out. And everything else that was a bit weird, woo-woo, if you like. I pursued other careers, lived in Greece for many years, came back, ran a computer business for 15 years. And then sort of over the years learning all the stuff just for my own interest, I thought I need to make a career out of this. So I started off as a hypnotherapist, hypnosis. Absolutely loved it. Saw the success. I started out, as many do, with scripts and the usual way that people start, just delving in. But my ever curious mind was always on why, not what do I do, why do I do it? So that led me to reignite interest that I'd always had in ancient philosophy, all the older stuff from ancient Egypt, Persia, ancient Greece, the like. And I started to look at all the stuff that was out there, the Elman, the Mesmer, all the different types of hypnosis, and look at what the key parts were. Why do they work? And what are they actually doing? And from that, I realized that over the centuries, they sort of say hypnosis is the second oldest profession in the world. I'm sure you'll know what the first is. Over the centuries, I think egos and the need to create has led people to add so much to stuff that isn't necessarily needed, but just to make their mark. So my point was to go back to the roots, back to the basics, and then look at how we can make it as quick, as easy as possible, really. And we realize sort of all the stuff that you do in hypnotherapy, if you are hypnotherapists, the inductions, the long-winded wind downs, even the instants and that weren't actually needed. There were easier ways to get in and talk to the unconscious mind. And you could actually roll all these inductions and everything else that you do into part of the process so that they don't even know it's happening. And those of you who've been on the training, part of the training is you will experience every single element of what we offer. Because I don't think you can be fantastic as a therapist without experiencing what your clients are going to go through, because then you can sort of almost go with them and enjoy it with them. Not always enjoy it. It does get quite emotional sometimes. So we actually took it, in my opinion, beyond hypnotherapy and beyond hypnosis. Then I started out mainly niching in pain, chronic physical pain. And there was interest from a local doctor who was very sort of, I don't like the term holistic. And I was talking to somebody yesterday that actually said, well, a better term's systematic, actually looking at the whole picture, every element. And I was invited to do a 3-month trial with the NHS, working with 400 patients over a period of 12 weeks. And one of the things he said in the initial meeting was, you can't call this hypnotherapy. They will not approve it. They will not accept it. And the doctors will not support you. So I had a chat with the team and we came up with the term Sanomentology. Sano means to repair, restore, make whole. Mento of the mind, ology, the study and research of. So basically, we are restoring, repairing the mind. Goes beyond that now because we look at higher levels, but we coined that term and it is now registered, trademarked to me or Global Therapy Academy. I can't remember how I registered it. And the NHS trials were highly successful. We had a 73% success rate of getting people off gabapentin, opiates, and what was the third one? I can't remember. Unfortunately, with the way the NHS works and that, the results got quite buried. I'm still in contact with quite a few of the patients that I saw. They're all, can't believe this. What you did for us was phenomenal. But that's where the term Sanomentology come from. And of course, we ran with it to make it different from your standard hypnotherapy. Generally, sessions are extremely fast for basic pains, phobias, just general things that people come to you the most for. You're talking a 15 to 20 minute session, if that. I did a timing to see how fast we could actually do it. I had a volunteer who was an elderly woman. I wasn't impolite to ask her age, but she was elderly. She'd had arthritis for 30 odd years, level 8 of pain, osteoarthritis, level 8 of pain permanently. I worked with her for 1 minute, 38 seconds, and she walked away without an iota of pain. And I've spoken to her a few times since. That pain has never come back. So that's how fast you can do it. Obviously, some things do take longer. Addictions, we work on a 4-week program. Weight loss, we work on a 2-week program and ongoing if it's expected. Other elements that we sort of extend as needed. But we do more than just resolve an issue. One of the elements of the Sanomentology is, because it's so content free, and I'll explain that more shortly, it gets to the actual cause, the real cause, rather than the the thing they think is causing. One of the things I say right at the beginning of the training is the issue is very seldom the actual issue. So it is fast, much quicker than most standard therapies. It shocks people when they come in and it's like, oh, we're done. That's it. See ya. It is phenomenal like that. Jump in with any questions anytime. I am conscious of the fact I'm just rambling. So one of the things that brought it all together is I was always aware of the barriers between science, psychology, philosophy, even theology. They all seem to work independent from each other. And you've got the scientists arguing with the meta-science and religious people arguing with the scientists and all this. And I've always had an interest in all four of those. And I could see, if you like, the half-truths in them all. Well, there's four there, so quarter truths, if you like. I could see the elements of each one of those that was right and actually carried across all four. So that came into part of the development for Sanomentology. We looked at the blend of them all, science, philosophy, psychiatry, and theology. And we brought it all together to actually form something that crosses all the bridges between them. The logo was very coincidental. I'd always had an affinity for the Greeks. As I said, I lived there for a number of years when I was young. And I love the idea of using the Greek letters in the logo, sigma and mu, Sanomentology. And it wasn't until the program developed more that I realized the serendipitous link. Because in science or maths, physics, whichever you like, the sigma stands for the sum of, and mu means the micro. And part of the Sanomentology program is we deal with all the little things. Because somebody might come to you with a big issue and think it's because of this, when in essence it could be a whole bunch of little things that have added up to just come together to make something massive. And with standard therapy, you can deal with that one issue, but if all the other stuff's left behind, it will cause relapse or other issues. They might replace that issue with something else completely. It's about digging out all of it, really getting to the root. We then developed further to talk about the consciousness at the energy levels, the atomic levels, etc., which again is the sum of the small. So the logo has had so much relevance, even though it was created blindly, or was it? It's had so much relevance with it. The actual program is split into 3 sections. We have the Path to Deep Healing. That covers all your main issues, what you'd study for therapy. So pain, addictions, phobias, anxiety, depression, you name it, one of our team has dealt with it. We've covered just about everything with this, and between all the training, there's something there that will help with it because it's content free. The next section is the Path to Enhancement. That's about helping somebody to reach their full potential. So we remove fear, as in the base emotion, and promote love, the two emotions that exist. We set the scenario for their brain to work in a better way to access skills that they've either forgotten or aren't even aware that they have. What else do we do? Belief and confidence. We'll rebuild the belief and confidence systems back to the way they were when they were a baby. Because as a baby, everybody has the confidence and belief in themselves. They learn to walk, they fall over, they don't say, oh, I can't do this, I'm staying on my backside. Yeah, one of my kids did, I think. They have that belief and confidence to do that. So belief and confidence is destroyed over the years with usually other people saying, you can't do that. Oh, you failed at that, didn't you? And these all dampen the fires. So the belief and confidence upgrade is to rebuild those fires and get them roaring again. What else do we have in that? I just go through my notes here. Oh yeah, the unity process. One of the issues I think people have as therapists and generally in normal life is they don't trust their unconscious minds. They're always second guessing. It's been bred into us. Look, do more research, find more information. Don't just believe everything that's there. You can see that on Facebook right now with what's going on in the world. The unity process is to build up the trust between the conscious, the unconscious, and the superconsciousness, if you like, to allow them to work better on gut, on intuition, things like that. What else have we got? And then we go into the base 12 architecture and, oh, I've missed that out on the prospectus, and connections. Base 12 architecture is breaking things down to the more cellular, energetic, and atomic levels to actually rebuild connections right from your base cells up to a global element. Hard to explain without doing the training on that, but the connections attached to that is a process that nobody goes through without thinking, wow. And hopefully some of the team members on here will give feedback on that, because of course I'm going to say that. And then we end the path to enhancement with Midas, manifest your dreams and succeed, which is my version of the law of attraction, which I think fills in all the holes that exist within The Secret and your standard law of attraction stuff. So we start to touch on the woo-woo a bit there. But it's about enhancing a person to reach their full potential, to become better, exist better, enjoy life more. And then the last bit is the path to enlightenment. This was only added in the last training section. And I think I'd be right in saying it blew people's minds. It's why. It goes back to ancient sort of ideas before Christianity, before all the other religions. The fundamental workings of the universe at the metaphysical, if you like, level. And following the laws. And when you look into the 7 laws, you start to see why things happen, why some people suffer, others don't. Why we have phrases like rise above your anger, all those sort of things. And it gives a deeper understanding that allows you to master your emotions, master your life, become a master of life rather than a slave to it. So although the last section is fairly short, it's only a 2-day course, it's very, very deep and really gives you a bigger understanding on why therapy works. Not just Sanomentology, but you can tie it to all your other therapies and say, excuse me, fire alarm. You can see exactly why all therapies work, even some of the time, with that side. Anyone want to add to any of that? People who have done the training? That's a very brief summary of what you will learn to date, because we're always adding. No, all quiet.
I'm looking forward to doing volume 3.
Yeah, you've not done the Path to Enlightenment yet, have you?
No.
I'll be uploading the videos soon.
Thanks.
I need to edit them. And obviously, well, it would be next year because we're running from November weekly then. So it's going to be January, February time before we do that again. Any questions on any of that so far? Before I go into them in more detail. So what's the other part I wanted to just mention on the program, rather than the training and what you're going to learn, this bit I want to talk more about my other angle of why I created what I have. I have always been self-employed. I think I had a job for 6 months once. Oh God, that was an awful time in my life. Yeah, I've always been self-employed. And I used to make the joke, sort of sitting in my house, having a drink on my own at Christmas. This is an amazing works party. And I said it jokingly, but there was always that sort of seeing everyone else out with their work dues and this, that, and the other. And I thought, this is actually a lonely life. Working as self-employed, whatever I was doing, it's quite a lonely existence. You make great connections at work. And when I went into the therapy side of things, I was looking around at all the other therapists and I thought, they all seem to be in the same boat. And then alongside that, I was talking to people who had done other people's training. Some of it very expensive training. And I remember one person said to me, I've just been on this course. It was $7,000 for 9 days. And I finished the course and I don't know what to do now. They've just left me high and dry. It's like they've taken money and I've got no confidence, no idea what I'm doing. I haven't followed it. I thought that seems to be a very common theme. Can anyone actually hear this chair squeaking? As I'm moving, my chair's squeaking. I need some WD-40. Yeah, I realize that seems to be a really common theme across the board. People seem to take your money and run. They give you what they've promised, the 7 days training or the 9 days training or the 2 days training, and that's it. I thought, let's change this. Let's do this a bit differently. I'd already realized sort of my vocation was to help people. Now, me being one man, I can only help so many people a week. So I thought, the more people I train, indirectly, the more people I'm helping. Let's build a team of people. All still self-employed, all still doing their own thing, but give them a sense of belonging. It's one of Maslow's basic needs. That sense of being part of something, that sense of belonging to something. So let's build it like that. And rather than people leaving my training and thinking, what do I do now? I can get 200 people on Zoom. I can get 200 people in the center when there's no social distancing. Let's make it that they can attend as often as they like. And because I'm always upgrading, I mean, this training started off as a 1-day program. Then it went to a 3-day, then a 4-day, then a 6-day. Now it's 15 days. I think come November, it'll probably be another 3-4 days on it. But rather than making people pay for it all the time, let's just have one fee, no monthly subscriptions, no annual prices. I was looking at everything else that everyone was doing that I didn't like. Let's just make it, you pay once and come in for life. Training, as often as you like. A team, we've got a private Facebook group. They are amazing. I don't know if any of you have been in some of the Facebook groups for therapy. They're very often not nice places. There's too many egos. There's too much, I'm right, you're wrong. No. I left all them. I thought, let's form one where there isn't any of that. And I'm sure the rest of the team will agree. There is no silly questions. There's nobody going to shoot you down because you've asked something that should be basic. It's very much, we're a family. That's not my words, that's their words. So we formed, I think I've trained just over 300. I think there's 210 in the group. A lot of people are sort of leaving Facebook altogether, or they've gone and done other things on their own. But I think there's about 210 in the group at the moment. They are a great bunch of people, and it's shared knowledge. I haven't tried every issue. I'll have an idea how to treat them. But if somebody says, how do I do this? We had one the other night, endometriosis. Has anyone done it? Straight away, I think 3 people jumped in and said, oh yeah, I've worked with that. Had great success. This is what I did. So we're sharing that knowledge across the board, and everybody is helping each other. It's a collaboration. There's no competition. And with my development and training, I don't see a lot of clients anymore. So I've got somewhere to send my clients to. I like the challenging clients because that makes me develop it more. If I find something I can't do, I'll write something new for it and then share it again with the team. So there's somewhere for me to send the clients to as well that I can trust, I know are doing a good job, and spread out. And we are global. We have Canada, Australia, Caribbean, Alexandra there in Thailand, Poland, Hong Kong, New Zealand, Australia, Israel, across the world, and obviously quite a few in the UK. So we're sharing a huge global sort of resource of knowledge, experience.
And also we can trade sessions.
Say again, Alexandra?
Yeah, the part that I like the most is we cannot charge each other for trading sessions, but we can exchange services, and it is the best thing ever.
Yeah, I'm coming into that. We do have a set of rules for the group. They're not dictatorship rules, they're just rules to make it a nice place. No abuse, no shooting anybody down, no being an arse, if you like. There is no money to change hands between team members, unless you're offering something different, obviously. But therapists are working with each other. Somebody comes in with a problem, somebody else will help them. It builds up the practice, it builds up the skills, and it keeps the team in tip-top condition. Because I think it's very hard to be a therapist if you've got your own issues. I think there's elements of transference, and you're not going to do your best job. So the team is there for therapy and practice as well. And they are great at it. I know if a team member comes to me, says, this is going on, can you help? Either I'll help them or I'll get somebody else. I'll just message somebody else. Have you got any free time to speak to so-and-so? Yeah, okay, get together. Let's get this sorted. So it's an ongoing development of skills, practice, experience, and just training. Some of the team come on the training every time I do it. And they'll say they learn something new every time. They build up their confidence every time. And it just works. So that was the second side of the Sanomentology, building that lifetime team for people to be part of it forever. Any questions so far? It's going to be a short day if I don't get any questions. No? Okay. Now, the content-free side I mentioned. There are a lot of things out there that claim to be content-free. And I don't agree that they are. If you're planting an idea into somebody's head, if you're dealing with a specific issue and you're saying, do this, do that, or even if you're feeding an impression into somebody, it's not content free. You're creating the content for them to work alongside. Most of what we've done is developed in a way to make it completely content free. Because at the end of the day, consciously, the client doesn't know what their issue is. Not at the deepest levels. You definitely don't know what their issue is. The only one that knows what the issue is their deep unconscious mind. So what we do within the processes, yeah, didn't have too many S's there, did I? No. What we do within these processes is give them permission and set them in the place, in the right scene, for their unconscious mind to deal with it themselves. and do it in a safe way as well. So if it's a particularly traumatic event, the unconscious will change it to something less traumatic, but with the same results. An example there, I dealt with somebody who had been in war, and they actually needed to revisit that, but rather than going back to the battlefield, the unconscious mind changed it to a snowball fight in a playground. They had the exact same experience that they needed to have to resolve the issue, but done in a way that wasn't going to bring back the trauma, anything like that. And they got the result out of it. It resolved that issue. Now, giving them that freedom, they will do things that they didn't even know were an issue, were a problem. And the beauty of it is they don't even have to tell you. The amount of times I've had clients in the past that say, oh, I've got this, and I'm a bit embarrassed. I'm like, well, don't tell me then. I don't actually need to know. Obviously, men with sexual issues, things like that, and anything that's embarrassing. I'm like, don't tell me. Because the only reason for you to tell me is to get it off your chest. I'm not interested. I don't quite say it like that. I am interested because I want to know, but I don't need to know. Because we're giving them that permission, the unconscious mind knows what's going on. It'll do it anyway. And it'll also deal with what the real issue is rather than their perceived one. So that's what I mean by the content free. We do set the scenes. We take them on some great adventures. But the core elements are done by themselves in a weird, wonderful, fantastic way, using their imaginations. Now, my aim for all of this is to make Sanomentology the therapy that everybody turns to, with the most confidence, the most belief, the most trust. That's the goal at the end of the day, to spread it globally. I think this will fit everybody, not even for therapy, just for general life. The changes you go through on the training, because you experience everything, absolutely everybody. As I said, all trainings available on Zoom, in person, and there's recorded videos of it as well. Now, I have set 2 new offerings. The options of obviously you can do the training as similar scenario as we are now or in the centre. But I'm also setting a second training of groups of 4, done 1 hour a week over a period of 26 weeks. And also a special advanced one-to-one, which would be 1 week of therapy to make sure everything's cleared first, and then 1 week of training on a one-to-one basis. Doesn't all have to be 2 weeks. It can be 1 day a week, however you want to play it. But they're the further offerings to make it available to as many as possible. What else do I need to do? Yeah, anything from anyone else so far? Anything more you want to know about the actual running of the program? I am going to break down the protocols and tell you what you'll learn, but anything else you want to know first?
I've got to go, Martin.
No worries. So yeah, you did pre-warn me.
In a couple of hours.
No worries.
Okay. Take
Thanks,
care.
Sue.
Enjoy, everybody.
Joanna, were you going to ask something there?
I wondered if it led to any accreditation.
Yes, you don't get anything once you've done the training. Sorry, I'm tight like that.
Not even a piece of paper?
Nope. There is a very, very simple exam.
Ooh.
It's an exam that you could probably pass without doing the training, if I'm honest. That will get you your license certificate. The reason for that is I am IPHM approved trainer, and Sanomentology is an IPHM approved program, and it requires a form of qualification. So a very simple exam will get you your basic licensed Sanomentologist. We then have an advanced and a master practitioner as well, which I will be starting in November. And basically, to achieve that, you have to deal with me. You have to role play me as a client. This removes all the issues of GDPR and everything else. I will be your worst possible client.
Yeah.
If you can deal with me, that will get you your master, and then further on, your advanced. So there's 3 levels of qualification, which you can work to. I can see Alexander's smile there because she can't wait to do this master and that. It will just be a role play, so that I know you know exactly what you're doing and how to handle a client if they become difficult or anything like that.
So do people have to go through all the levels to get to the master?
Yeah, they get their basic one just by doing the exam anyway. Then we do it'll be a simple role play first for advanced. Just resolving a particular issue in a difficult situation. And then the master will actually be the full life enhancement side of it to actually go through. So I know you have a full understanding of everything and you can handle everything. There are some difficult clients out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you would go up them in stages.
Okay, thank you.
Just trying to, I'm sure I've got a picture of the, where is it? Yeah, I got a picture of the certificate that you get, but I'm sure it's been shared in the group a few times. Nice looking certificates as well, if you like them. Anyone else, anything?
Martin, there is just one thing I
Go on,
want a
Helen.
bit of clarity on. I know you're not big on paperwork. When you've got your clients coming to you and you actually devise a sort of a form, some people do, and then you have to keep them under lock and key and that sort of thing. I know your thoughts on it are basically, I don't really need that. And technically, looking at the fact that most of the protocols are content free, that would actually lend to that scenario. I mean, what are you thinking in terms of doing that? You know, from someone like myself sort of starting out, obviously, when you speak to a person, I think as much as anything, probably to give them some confidence, because a lot of people might not get that you're saying, I don't need to know anything, because they might say, well, if you don't know what's wrong with me, how on earth can you put me right? That would be a lot of people's thinking.
Yeah, I only say that to the people that are embarrassed to talk about it. If they say, oh, I don't know what to say, or I don't really want to talk about it. I generally let people talk because sometimes they just need to.
Yeah.
As far as notes are concerned, I think in the lessons group, there's a number of different intake forms that you can use. I know Trevor's put a couple on, Kevin's put one on. For the addictions, we've got that specific one, the clinical interview.
Yeah.
I'd keep some sort of notes. I'm saying sort of do as I say, not as I do. I don't keep notes because I've got one of those memories. And then I'm not stuck with GDPR messing about. But have a basic form where they can just fill in what they need. Obviously, if you're dealing with pain, you need that tick box to say, I have or I will see a doctor. That just keeps you in the clear. So yeah, keep a basic form, either electronically in a secure way or in a fire safe. I think, who is it? I think Geeta's organised quite a few seminars on GDPR. And I think the recordings of them are in the group.
Right.
So as long as you're following the GDPR rules, which are an absolute nightmare, have your notes and just have them there.
Okay.
To fall back on, really. Yeah. As I said, I only don't do it because my memory's there that I get clients that I've not spoken to, like they're phoned up with a query one year I'm just thinking of one recent. And then they phone me a year later, and I just look at the phone number that's on my phone. It's like, I know, oh, that's so-and-so that had the sugar addiction. And I ring and I'm like, hey, how you doing? How you doing with your sugar? It's like, how do you remember that? Just my memory. Yeah, I can't remember what I go to the shop for. Can't do that one. So yeah, have your notes, and obviously next time we're training, if you want to bring that up again, we'll cover it in a bit more detail.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone want to go and get a drink? I will confess, I am a smoker, and I'm ready for a cigarette. I could give up, but I don't because I don't want to, and that's one of the key things about therapy. You can't make somebody do what they don't want to do. The person who gets me to give up smoking will go straight to master without stopping. There we go. So, okay, let's have a 5-minute break. Back at 10:30, and I'll run through the individual bits that you learn and give a bit of an insight into each one and what it specifically does. So yeah, 5 minutes. I'll pause the recording. Right. Now recording again. Just wait for everyone to come back in. Might wonder why I've got a squirrel on my shirt. It's a bit of a theme. In one of our protocols, we seem to have a lot of squirrels appear in the client's creations, and I've actually found out why. Only yesterday, I was watching a program, and it was I can't remember what it was, but she was talking about dreams and squirrels in them. And squirrels are about things that have been buried. And we get a hell of a lot of squirrels coming up. Hence me getting the t-shirt with a squirrel on. So, so yeah, I'll have to share that with the team later. Remind me, somebody in the team, to share that information. So, I think everyone's back that's new. Everyone else knows what I'm going to go through next. What you will learn on the training. Whew, where do you start? A whole new way of life. That summarizes it. We start with the basics. On the first day of training, there are a set of vows that you will agree to. We call them the pun of the Hippocratic Oath. Obviously from the Hippocratic Oath that the doctors abide by. And they're only basic nicety skills or vows. Things like you don't, unless you're medically trained, you don't diagnose, you don't advise on medicine, you don't try and change somebody's beliefs or views of the world, you don't impose your own on them. Your basic human being stuff. We talk about abreactions. There's always a possibility of abreactions. So we talk about what to do in the event of one of those. Very, very seldom do they occur in this stuff because it's content free, but you're best knowing exactly what to do. And then we cover things like what you need to have in place to be successful. Intent, confidence, things like that. We then cover how to communicate with the unconscious mind in the fastest and most effective way possible. And we talk about the different types of inductions that we do in hypnotherapy. So you've got your rapids, your instants, your PMRs, authoritarian approaches. And we talk about why ours is more effective because we actually use manners. We ask permission. We don't sleep or talk somebody down boringly. It does come into it in some elements, but we ask permission first. Of the unconscious mind, we ask it nicely. I'm here to help. Will you let me in? Will you let me get past that critical faculty, the part that protects the unconscious mind, and work? And we get that permission. which makes it so much more effective. And then we go into the first of the 3 protocols, which cover all 3 paths, the very basic skills, which are mind mediation, how to talk to the unconscious mind, and how to adapt your conversation to suit almost anything. That's your mind mediation is your starting point, and probably 70% of issues could be resolved just with that alone, taking 15-20 minutes with a coffee. We then go into dreamscaping, which is made up of the inner journey and interactive lucid dreaming. Inner journey, you set the client in a place where they can go off and have an experience on their own. Interactive lucid dreaming, you go with them on that experience and guide them. This is where I'm working to develop further, because I want to see if we can actually do a joint interactive lucid dream where we get 4 people together and have them all join up within the dream. Very woo-woo. I love woo-woo. But I feel it's possible with the things that have happened in our training and with clients. For example, on one training session, we had a woman going through a forest, and I got distracted by a text advertising a holiday to Egypt. And the woman said, "Oh, the trees have disappeared. I'm in the pyramids now," with no prompting from me. So there is a communication there that goes beyond words, which we'll talk about on the training. I want to see if we can actually utilize that with 4 people in their dream, and they go and join it and have a joint adventure. That wouldn't be therapeutic purposes. That would be an amazing entertainment package. Send somebody off on a real life adventure where they're experiencing for real. The interactive lucid dream is that real to the person experiencing it. When I've done it with demos, there's one particular trainee that I worked with, and she was on a ship, and she stepped off the ship onto an iceberg to talk to a penguin, I think it was. And when she stepped onto an iceberg, physically her glasses steamed up in the room. It was that real to her. She was experiencing it and her body reacted in the same way. Morning, Heather and John, just saw you both join us. So having that sort of adventure would be a phenomenal experience with somebody just for entertainment, let alone therapy. So that's one of the things we're developing next. Oh, got some feedback from you, John, there. Were you going to say something? No. I'll mute you then. There we go. So they're your 3 basic skills. You need those to work with absolutely everything else that we do further through the program. They're covered in the first 3 days, I think it is, of the training. And then we go into the path of the deep deep healing. The first thing we start off with is rapid pain elimination therapy, my starting point. We talk about how to remove chronic emotional and physical pain. Successful for everything from sciatica, arthritis, fibromyalgia, ME, CFS, MS, joint problems, injuries, all sorts. Also effective for pain that's not needed to be had. Now, we're very key that we don't deal with acute pain. If somebody breaks their leg, we're not going to remove that pain because obviously they're going to cause damage. However, I have worked with somebody that went in for an operation. They had a root canal surgery with no anesthetic. 75 minutes, they were being prodded and poked with a scalpel and everything else. They didn't feel a thing. I've used it for tattoos, for piercings. Another person had an operation. They'd had anesthetic, but they didn't feel the pain when it all wore off. It's just making the unconscious aware that they know what's happening. The messages of pain aren't needed. So extremely highly effective for pain removal. I don't call it pain control, I say removal, because it does. And it works for emotional pain as well, because they do cross over. Emotional pain and physical pain share the same pathways in the brain. They work together. When we go into enlightenment and path to enlightenment, there's other elements at play to say why emotional pain affects physical and vice versa. So that's your first thing that we cover. That's a full day, and we talk about all the different pains that people might have, and how to get through to them and what to do with them. We then go through GOSH. We have two versions of GOSH, the Mind Pool and the Dance Edition. GOSH is a much more traditional hypnotherapy program or protocol. Usually one that I'll give out as an audio for people to listen to on a regular basis if they're ill. If they're suffering things like cancer, recovery from an operation, recovery from any disease, GOSH is a very effective one. What it does is it allows them to release any stored emotions, negative emotions that might be hampering their recovery, and also puts their body and mind into the best state for healing. GOSH has had some phenomenal results from team members suffering everything from cancer, operations, stuff like that. It's halted the progress of one person's cancer. She's openly open to talk about it. I'm being careful what I say here, because obviously there's very strict laws. The Cancer Act 1939. Another trainee has openly talked about the fact that 2 lumps, one on his spleen and one in his throat, disappeared during the training. He was supposed to go for an operation to have them removed, and when they did the x-ray to see where it was, they were like, oh, it's gone. There's just scar tissue left. So I'm not stating that we can cure things. I'm telling anecdotes of real life trainees and their families that have experienced this. So that's the GOSH protocol. As I said, we've got the Mind Pool edition, which involves going into a pool of mind matter. We've got the Dance edition, which is more physical. They're going through rooms in a dance studio and using dance and lights and music. Very, very effective and enjoyable experiences. They're ones that people can listen to on a regular basis and enjoy. The next one is time. Time stands for total. Oh, GOSH stands for the gift of self-healing, by the way. Time stands for Total Integrated Mind Enhancement. And it was one of my early creations, which I don't actually personally use anymore. However, some people really like it, so I keep it in the training. It's a very deep process. Again, there's an audio for it that you can give out. But it basically integrates 12 individual effective therapies into one. You go through the mind mediation, the inner journey, there's a bit of rewind, clearance, Ho'oponopono, 12 altogether. And they're all in one free-flowing narrative, which will guide the client through at different levels to really get to the grips of stuff. I've written better stuff since than that, so there's more powerful. The next one we do is conclusions. And just trying to think what I can say without giving everything away. Okay, how many of you get a song stuck in your head sometimes? Yep. The reason that happens is because you haven't heard the song, the whole song. You will have heard a snippet, or you would have turned it off before it finished, or something along those lines. And one of the things the unconscious hates is unfinished business. And anything that's left unfinished gets stored in the amygdala, where it waits for it to be assessed, whether it needs to be reacted on or can be stored away. This is why nested loops in stories work, the most famous being 1001 Arabian Nights. You start telling a story, you don't finish the first one, you start on the second one, you don't finish that, start on the third, do that whole story, then till the end of the second, then the end of the first. It keeps the attention on it. They do it with Netflix series. That's why people binge watch. They leave things as a cliffhanger on the end of a program, and you cannot settle until you watch the next one. And this is why songs get stuck in your head. It's stored there because you haven't heard the whole song. If you want it gone, listen to the whole song all the way through, then it'll be gone. This is the same with a lot of issues. Throughout your life, there will be unfinished business. It might be little things, conversations that weren't fully finished, tasks that have been left unfinished, or it could be a massive thing. In instances of things like PTSD, a soldier rarely comes back from war with the battle being over. It's still going on. People in an accident, they leave the scene of the accident, everything's still carnage there. These all go in as unfinished business, which actually physically makes the amygdala grow. The bigger it grows, the more danger it perceives, which leads to things like anxiety and depression, PTSD, other big issues. So what Conclusions does is it allows you to go through every element of unfinished business throughout your life, and using your fantastic imagination, form your own conclusion in a positive way to each one to allow it to be released from the amygdala. And it's a fun experience as well. So basically you're resetting the amygdala completely to factory settings. Now these three protocols, the one I've just talked about, Conclusions, and the next two, Schrodinger and Resolutions, actually form a single session called the Resolute Pact. They can be done as 3 individuals over 3 weeks, or 3 sessions, or you can do them as one. Because the other element of causing issues is the emotions that are tied to memories. So when the amygdala does release something, it will tie an emotion to it. You have positive ones, holiday song, smell of bread, things like that. But you have negative ones as well, which cause things like phobias, fears. Sound of dog barking might make you angry or scared. Fireworks might make a soldier go into a panic through PTSD. So the Schrodinger allows you to go through each and every event in your life, not re-experience them, but reattach new emotions to the memories, releasing the negative ones. It goes a bit further than that because it future paces as well to allow you to reach your goals, to set you up for life. There's a lot more elements that are a bit more woo-woo to it as well, which I talk about on the training. But it allows all the tiny stuff to be done as well. So I remember when I tested this on myself, one of the things that came up was I stole a Twix bar off a kid at school when I was 6. Now as an adult, I don't remember that, but it came up during the Schrodinger. Burning ants with a magnifying glass. Oh, that was a big one. I felt so guilty about that. Didn't give it a second thought consciously, but it was obviously in my amygdala. Treading on a worm when it was raining and hearing the squelch. Tiny little things that you don't think affect you in any way whatsoever all sit there, and the accumulation of them all causes a bigger issue. So the Schrodinger protocol goes through and reassesses each one and allows you to tie a new positive emotion to each one and let it go. And then the resolutions is the final part of that series, which is basically signing a contract between the conscious and the unconscious to not allow any future events to reactivate or cause further issues linked to the past. And it's a signed contract in presence of the therapist, and it's all done obviously in their imagination, but it's signed in, not blood, that'd be a bit gruesome, but it is signed in witness of the therapist, and the unconscious loves contracts and it won't break them. So that's the third part. And then the Resolute Pact is all three rolled into one for a longer session if somebody wants to do it just in one. Any questions so far? Any feedback from existing therapists on these protocols?
Yeah, I have a question about the interactive lucid dream and inner
You're very
journey.
quiet there, Alexandra.
Oh, sorry. How about now?
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Okay. I have a question about the difference between inner journey and interactive lucid dream.
Go on.
I was told that interactive lucid dream is more shallow than the inner journey. Is it
No.
true?
No, the interactive lucid dream is a lot deeper. And it's the guidance of the therapist. Now, in theory, and I will be testing this next week, in theory, we can take it much, much deeper. You can go as deep as you need to go in an interactive one. The inner journey is more shallow. The interactive one can be as deep as you need it to be. And I'm actually going to take it to, I'm not going to say it's limits because I don't think there are any limits, but I'm going to take it deeper than I ever have before with somebody I want to see next week. But you can go, you've done the enlightenment training. When I say about going deeper, actually going higher. So taking it off the mental, higher than the spiritual, even higher. So yeah, it's not shallow at all. The interactive one is much, much deeper. Who told you that anyway?
I don't know, somebody in the group.
Yeah,
but
they're wrong.
That was exactly what I was thinking. The interactive can be much deeper.
Yeah,
so
it's as deep as the therapist needs to take it. It can be quite shallow. If it's only a surface level problem, it can be quite shallow. But generally, it goes much, much deeper. So, Seema, you were going to say something there?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that, Martin. That yeah, I've loved the interactive lucid dreams. Had some amazing experiences myself, but also the people I've done them on. Very symbolic. People have kind of like, you know, just it's been just so obvious that this issue has been resolved as they're going through, whether they're aware or not. But because myself, I don't know some background about issues. But yeah, they were just wonderful. I suppose all of the protocols have just blown me away.
Yeah.
Over the last year of training with you. Like I said, I dip into training 3 or 4 times I have, and it's just been amazing every time.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you on as well, Seema. Don't always see you. You keep your video off half the time, but it's always a pleasure to have you there.
I got it because in lockdown I've never had the house to myself. There's always somebody walking in and calling out for me, so I've been incognito. Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
I was going to say that what just for any newbies who are looking into it, what had actually brought me to the Sanomentology program was because I had some issues with my daughter who had OCD. She was OCD, and you know, it wasn't that bad, but times of stress, it really, you know, was really getting the better of her. So I just literally heard about one of the trainees who does Sanomentology, and I think she just had one session. It was doing the steps in the ILD, the interactive lucid dream, and it was she's cured. It never came back. She couldn't. It was just amazing to see the effects of that. She's never had any of them tendencies. Like I said, they'd got pretty big, and they were really bogging her down. And you know, she was really, you know, it was just horrible for her. And she's just wonderful. She's just not feeling any of that, anything, even stress. She can be under stress pressure, but it doesn't turn into anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful. The other experience I had was a friend of mine who she had gone in. No, so I tell you, yeah, that was later. But first, my niece, who you know, Martin, has gone on to do the course as well.
Yeah.
She was very depressed. She was so, and she had been, you know, through all the system in other ways, you know, the NHS, and she was 23, I think, and she was feeling suicidal, and she thought she had given herself that year. I think she had said she'd written in a diary that that's it.
Yeah.
I don't feel any better next year this time. That's it. I can't do with it anymore. And she had one session of, again, steps, interactive lucid dreaming, and she's a new person. She says, I can't tell you how much it's changed me. And she went on to do the training, and
she came to the centre, didn't she? It was a pleasure having her.
She did, and she came yesterday. I saw yesterday. She was saying, I do the protocols as and when you can dip into them whenever you need, and there's so many, like you keep adding to them, so you won't experience them all. But it's really a new way of looking at everything, and it's this hope there's hope when it seems kind of hopeless, when it comes to the NHS going through CAMS and all the things for the kids, and then for the adults as well. Just wonderful success rate, and I'd recommend it to anyone who would. Anyway, that's it. I might go later, so I thought I'll just give my testimonial.
Yeah. No worries. Thank you, Seema. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
So,
Martin, can I just ask you, with the interactive lucid dream,
yeah,
in order to take people deeper, is the idea structurally, in terms of practically delivering it, do they go through more trap doors? In other words, when they go from their safe place, they find a door, do they go then into deeper and deeper and deeper doors?
yes, in a way. You're going to see it next week. Because you know what I'm talking about when I say where I'm going next week. So you'll see me do it. Basically we use the first door to go into their first level, but then we'll bring more in a similar way to go even further.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, in one of my personal in interactive lucid dreams, I went to the place and I didn't know what to resolve. What should I do there? And I went through another door and brought something that helped me to resolve the issue in the first level. And it was a apple pie.
Yeah. This is a bit confusing for Rod and Joanna and Beta, because obviously they don't know what we're talking about now. Hopefully it's sparking your what's the word, curiosity. But yeah, I mean, any of that we need to talk about, obviously just pipe up in the group and we'll have a chat on it. But you'll see it in action next week, Helen, because this is where I want to be going. Okay, so, and obviously we've just gone through the resolutions, the Resolute Pact, and the 3 parts.
Actually, Martin, some of that I do understand, because I've had been experiencing some of this therapy with Kev Porter. So.
Oh right, you've worked with Kev. Brilliant.
Yeah. So hence me interest.
Yeah. Excellent. Kevin's a good bloke. He's actually got a credit in my book because he did have input into the Create, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So the next section we do, the next bit of training is Free Spa. And this is freedom from substance and process addictions. Removing an addiction is the easiest thing in the world. Removing an addiction and preventing another addiction taking its place is a bit harder. So you see people who give up smoking and then they put on weight because they're eating. You'll see an alcoholic start gambling or eating or shopping because they're not actually resolving the cause. The addiction is not the problem. What the problem is the driver that has caused the addiction. And that is what Free Spa works on. It is a 4-week program, not the training, actually working with a client. And it covers all addictions from your substance, drugs, alcohol, smoking, sugar, right through to your process addictions like gambling, shopping, pornography, negativity, it's an addiction. Relationships is an addiction. It covers all of those. And we talk about what to do. We're using the protocols you've already learned, but they get adapted to suit. It wasn't done just on the fly off my head. I worked very closely with an addiction specialist in America, Dr. Randy Konikoff, who is a member of our team. And we worked very closely to actually get this addiction program perfected, following her knowledge of the addictions as well. Very effective. I've had 100% success rate. I'm not sure the rest of the team. I think some people have struggled a little bit, purely because they're new to it. Then the next section is fears and phobias. Oh, wow, that is so easy. There is a video of me on YouTube removing the fear of spiders from my daughter in 2 minutes flat. One of my best moments for this was I had a client come to me. She was known to my family personally, but not me. Very, very strong woman in the way of in charge and high-powered. But she had a fear of snakes. She had been to hypnotherapists, psychotherapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, CBT, just about everything to try and resolve this. And nothing had helped her. Her fear of snakes was that bad, if you just draw a wiggly line on a piece of paper and show it to her, she went into a panic. She came to me as a last resort because she came in October. She had a holiday to Mexico in January, and somebody had put a photo on TripAdvisor of the swimming pool and there was a snake next to it. And she was ready to cancel this holiday. So she came to me as a last resort, and I literally spent 20 minutes with her. At the end of those 20 minutes, I showed her a YouTube video of the snake in full HD Technicolor, and she laughed. And she enjoyed her holiday in Mexico, and she's never had that fear again. So she had seen just about every professional she could. It took me 20 minutes to just collapse it completely. And that was with a chat as well. Fears and phobias, we cover it, but it is really, really simple. Then we're going to create, which is the PTSD program. Clearance and resolution of emotions after traumatic experiences. I love my, what do they call them? Oh, what are they called? Can't think. Putting letters together to make a word.
Acronym.
Acronym, that's the one. Thank you, Joanna.
Right.
Yeah, so this is the PTSD program. We talk about what PTSD is, why it exists, including complex PTSD, and the program to resolve it. Again, I have had 100% success, and as far as I'm aware, every member of the team that was worked with has had success following the 4-week PTSD program. Again, it's using the protocols that we've already got with a few adaptations in it to really sort of kick in. I worked with Kevin on this, Kevin Porter, who is ex-Navy. He was on the Fearless, HMS Fearless, and has had a lot of experience with working with PTSD clients through veterans, etc. And he's a great success with the Create program. The next one's Yes, Your Esteemed Self, which is our weight management program. A 2-session minimum, but you can extend it to make it as long as you like, because some people just love the keep going every week sort of type Weight Watchers type thing. And we don't talk about weight loss, and we don't talk about perfect weight or anything else. We talk about happy weight, because everybody is different. There is no perfect size for anybody. There is a happy size, and it's the size that somebody as an individual is happy to be at. And we aim for that. Again, it uses the protocols that we've already got, following quite a bit of the free spa stuff as well, because food is very addictive, naturally. Again, very successful. Then we talk about sleep, not being able to sleep because of anxiety or overthinking, because that's already dealt with other issues. We talk about the natural state of sleep because we're not supposed to sleep 8 hours a night. We are mammals, and every mammal in the world sleeps in stages. We were designed to sleep twice: sleep during the day, nano naps, and asleep at night. And it's only since the Industrial Revolution and the invention of the electric light bulb that we changed that. It's not natural to us. So occasionally when you're going through the programs, because they're content free, the unconscious knows that the 8 hour a night sleep isn't actually completely beneficial to us. So sometimes it removes that. So we have a program called the Sleep Retrain, which just helps somebody to sleep properly at night. We then go into anxiety and depression, the causes and how to quickly resolve this widespread issue. And anxiety and depression is really, really simple, very often a single session. Again, using the protocols we've already got. And then we go into illness and healing of other maladies. We talk about allergies, which don't exist. Hay fever, again, doesn't exist. Our entire team can attest to the success of removing allergies and hay fever and rhinitis. Intolerances, IBS, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, MS, diabetes, eczema, psoriasis, and general healing from viruses, infections, surgery, etc. So that's the last bit we do. We cover how to deal with each of those individual things. Tied into that, if the conversations come up, we talk about things like menopause, periods, childbirth, all sorts of things that this is adaptable to help with. And that's the path to deep healing. Any questions? It's a period of about 10 days for that part. No, 8 days. Can't remember. Something like that. Any questions on the healing side? No? Okay. Where's my watch buzzing away? Don't know. So once we've completed that, we start on the path to enhancement. And I've talked briefly about some of these, but I'll go through them in a bit more detail. We start with the Unity process. Now, the Unity process I wrote for trainees. I did not think about clients in this. I wrote it purely for the trainees. However, some of them tried it with their clients and found great results. And like I've already said, the Unity process is a very quick program designed to build up the teamwork between the conscious and the unconscious mind, to allow the unconscious mind to come forward and perform without second guessing, to work with the conscious. When I train, when I'm working with a client, a lot of stuff I do unconsciously. I don't think, second guess or anything like that. I trust my unconscious to run the show. And it's why it comes out with the right stuff most of the time. Your unconscious has access to a hell of a lot more information than you do consciously. Even down to when you're working with a client, your unconscious is picking up slight changes in their skin, changes to their breathing, even their pulse rate that you can't see consciously, but the unconscious can pick up those sort of signs. So if it's telling you something, your intuition, generally you're right. So it's building up that trust between. And all of this that we've done so far, you do get to experience and practice as well. Then we go on to the awakening. And the question I always ask first of all is, how many of you have had swimming lessons in your life? Anyone? You had swimming lessons? Yeah. Why? Because the day you were born, you could swim. You've just spent 9 months in water. The day you were born, you can swim. Problem is, through fear and forgetfulness, we forget how to do it. But those skills are there. And what other skills are there? Navigation. There's a tribe in Africa that their language has played a part because they don't have left and right. They describe everything as a direction. So the head is north. This is your northeast arm, northwest arm, southeast leg, southwest leg. Because they talk like that, they can't get lost. And they've actually done experiments with this tribe where they've taken a member of the tribe, put them in the middle of nowhere, and that person's found their way back to their home without a map, without compass, anything else. It's another skill that we all have, but we've forgotten how to use. And questionably, what else is there? But the other side to it is, what access to knowledge do we have outside of ourselves? How the hell did Mozart know how to play a piano at 4 years old when he'd never seen a piano? Not something he's learned, so it's obviously something he's got from elsewhere. What access do we have to this information? So the Awakening is a program purely to invite that knowledge back, to build skills that you already have and get access to resources that are unknown at the moment. It does go a bit woo-woo, but quite a powerful program. Then we go into love and fear, laugh. You're having a laugh, and the ego state. You'll hear people talk about ego as a negative thing. The problem is, if you didn't have an ego, you probably wouldn't get out of bed in the morning, because the ego is what drives you. I think Freud talks about the id, the ego, and the superego. I say it's the me, the I, and the third eye. Lost in translation there from ancient times. It's not an I, it's your third eye, which is the creation part of you. Where ego's bad is when it's mixed with fear. So these people that you talk, not you personally, but people talk about having an ego in a negative way, it's because their ego operates from fear. They have jealousy, they have fear, anger. That's when the ego's negative. And there's only two emotions. There is love and there's fear. Everything comes from them. Happiness, joy, excitement, all comes from love. Anger, jealousy, distrust comes from fear. If the ego is operating from love, then it's a positive and it takes you up the scale. If it's operating from fear, it's a negative and it takes you down. And within the training, I've actually blended Maslow's extended pyramid of needs and Dante's Inferno, which if you loosely translate, because obviously Dante's Inferno was translated from Italian, I think. Am I right? If you actually look at the translations better, Dante's Inferno, the inverted pyramid, 7 levels of hell, is almost identical and opposite to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we bring that into the love and fear. We've got a diamond shape to show the positives and the negatives and which way you're operating. And then we have the protocol that goes with it, which promotes somebody to operate from love and not fear, which then leads to collaboration instead of competition and a whole nicer experience for everybody. Any questions so far? All good so far? Okay. Then we go on to the backup plan, which I've already discussed slightly, which talks about the things that have destroyed your confidence and your belief, because they are two sides of the same coin. To be confident, you need belief in yourself or your whatever you're doing, and to believe in it, you need to be confident in it. Now, outside stuff obviously comes from experience, from practice, stuff like that. But it's the self-belief and self-confidence that we work on. And that's been destroyed through your life. By your teachers at school, by your parents, your peers, your friends, just everybody saying, you can't do this. That's wrong. All the criticism pours water on the fires that burn inside of that belief and confidence. So we have a very deep protocol that basically allows you to go back in time to the time when your confidence and your belief in yourself were right up there, roaring fires. And then we go back through your life, and every time somebody dampens it, you pour fuel on it to keep those fires burning. Again, this was done purposely for the trainees originally, but quite a few of the trainees are using it as an ending to their program, just to finish it off and give their clients that belief and confidence, which is great. Then we start getting into some really weird and wonderful theories. We start with base 12 architecture. We have a BIOS in computer terms within our body, a set programming that is built into us. It's very small. Built into that is fear of falling, fear of loud noises. But there's lots of other stuff as well built into it. There's only two of you that haven't done this before, but have you got a pen and paper in front of you? Are you listening at the moment, Rod? Can you hear me, Rod? Let me know when you're sorted. Yeah. Okay. Have you got a pen and paper there? Okay. Just want you to write down a word in a moment, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to tell you the word I want you to write down, but I'm going to ask you to write something down in a minute. But before that, I just want to ask you a few questions. If anyone hasn't done this before, take part. So, first question, 1 + 1. Just have the answer in your head, you don't have to tell me. 2 + 2, 4 + 4, 8 + 8, 25 + 25, 50 - 25. Now I want you to write down the first vegetable that comes into your head. Okay, show me on camera. I can't actually see what that says. What did you write, Rod?
Cauliflower.
Oh, you're one of the 1%ers. What did you write, Joanna?
Carrot.
Yeah, you're a 99%er.
What does that mean?
I'll tell you in a moment.
All right.
Yep. 99% of people will write carrot down. Even people that live in a country that doesn't have carrots, I've found. It seems to be in the BIOS. It's a great trick for a mind reading trick that I'll tell you another time. It seems to be one of those things that are in the BIOS. I don't know why. I've been doing this since I was at school. Exactly the same as what I've just done with you. And 99% of people will say it. Don't know why. There's other things in the BIOS, and one of them is the
I know why is it.
Go on, Alexandra.
The first thing, the first vegetable that child eats is a carrot.
I don't know. Mine had cauliflower. What about the countries that don't have carrots, though? Don't know. Now, the other thing that's also seems to be built into the BIOS is the number 12. I did an experiment a while back where I put a questionnaire out for the team and for everybody else on Facebook. And it was a bit of a trick questionnaire. It just wanted random answers, first name, what sort of house do you live in, what colour's your front door, a couple of other silly questions that were completely irrelevant. But at the bottom I had, I am not a robot. To prove I'm not a robot, put in a number between 1 and 100. That's the bit that I was interested in, but it didn't look important, so people just did anything. I think 470 people answered, and out of that, 390 did a multiple of 12. Think about how 12 represents everywhere else. We have 12 signs of the zodiac. All right, 13 now, except there's a +1. We have 12 hours in a day, 12 hours in a night, 12 months in a year. There's all sorts of 12s. I can't think of them off the top of my head. There's also 12 elements to make the human body. There's 12 minerals needed to keep the body healthy. There are 12, there's 3 groups of 12 subatomic particles to make an atom. There's 12 forms of energy. Now in a computer world, it's base 8 architecture. Everything's a multiple of 8. So you've got 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit. And I put the theory forward that life, nature, the universe, works on base 12 architecture. And there's also 12 levels of consciousness, starting at the energy level, going up to subatomic, atomic, right the way through to cellular, organism, community, galaxy, planetary, galaxy, universe. This is what we discussed on the base 12 with a lot more detail. Now, funnily enough, I came up with this theory in November last year, and in January, the New Scientist did a 5-page spread, basically saying very similar to what I'd put forward in November, with science backing to it. Whether you believe it or not, it became the creation of, or it became the theory behind the creation of connections, which is a very systematic approach to therapy, where you assess everything at the energy level first, then you assess everything at the atomic level, mending the connections, assess it all at the molecular level, cellular level, fixing individual little bits each time, then at the level of yourself as an organism, then going up to the community level to fix community issues, planetary, obviously we need to do more work on that, right up to the universe where you see your true magic. Very, very powerful program. And that goes hand in hand with the Midas law of attraction side. The law of attraction element, I don't actually know where I am in the manual now. The law of attraction side fills in all the holes in the theories that are out there. Gives you, no worries, Heather. Gives you different ways to practice the law of attraction. I don't believe in vision boards and stuff like that. There's alternative ways to do it that are much more effective. And then ends with the protocol for Midas, where you put yourself in a place to manifest in the fastest, most efficient time, while at the same time preventing negative happenings outside. One of the theories I talk about on that is the collateral damage from using the law of attraction in the way The Secret describes it. Are either of you law of attraction, new guys, any of you law of attraction followers? Or are you really not? Yeah, you are, Joanna. One of the examples I use is, imagine a man is married with kids, and he's used his law of attraction to get rich as quick as possible and live in a mansion with a sports car. Well, if that's all his goal is, one of the things the universe is going to know is his family are hampering him, because everyone knows families take the money, they're not cheap, and they take time from developing business and stuff. Now, he might be happy in himself to do that, because obviously he loves his family, but he's not factoring that into his end goal. So the universe will work towards the end goal faster, which means his family breaks down. He might have an affair, his wife might have an affair, they get divorced. Suddenly he's got all the time to build his business and get rich, but his wife and family have become collateral damage. So we look at negating those sides of it, but also building up the law of attraction so that you do incorporate all of that into it and take a better path than the fastest one, if that makes sense. It makes more sense when I actually go through it in detail. And the protocol that goes alongside it does that perfectly for you. I think after I'd done it, somebody messaged me 5 minutes after the course and said, postman's just been and delivered me a check that I did not expect, didn't even know was coming. Coincidence, serendipity, who knows? So that is the Midas, or our version of law of attraction. Any questions so far? That's the end of the path to enhancement. And again, most of the stuff in that does come from the original protocols. Okay, should we take another 5 minutes? I had too many coffees now. I think your friend's left us, hasn't she, Alexandra? Had to go, or got enough information?
Yeah, she's on the way to the village for the
All
weekend.
right, fair enough. Is she near to you, or is she in Poland?
She's from Poland.
Ah,
yeah,
living in Poland now.
Yes.
Ah, okay, no worries. Okay, back just after our pass, whenever. And then we'll go through the last bit of the path to enlightenment and then have a chat. So I'll just pause the recording. Okay, so that brings us to the final part of the actual training, which is the path to enlightenment. Now, this takes the Sanomentology program and the whole therapy processes to a deeper level of understanding. This is where we cross the planes of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, and even further. And this all comes from knowledge from ancient Egypt, Persia, ancient Greece, all of those sort of areas. We start with the introduction to it, the beginning, and possibly the end. And we talk about the theories behind reality and our perception of reality. We talk about how the realms or planes all exist within and how they progress from creation to now. There's a lot of science in this as well. I mean, even scientists talk about different dimensions, multiverses, stuff like that. It all fits under one theory. And then we go into the 7 fundamental laws that govern all that exist. And all the other laws that are out there, the law of attraction, the law of everything else, actually fit into the 7 fundamental laws. The first one being mentalism. And I don't mean mentalism as in hypnosis, although that is part of it. It's the idea that everything is contained within the mind of the source. In layman's terms, in its simplest form, we are all part of one big elaborate dream of the universe. Now, a big part of that, we talk about the interactive lucid dream. When we create an interactive lucid dream, the elements of the dream become real to the person experiencing it. And they form a whole world of their own, if you like, a universe of their own. The individual people and animals in the dream form their own consciousnesses, their own way of being. And it's tied in very similar to the understanding of the universe, the all, the bigger picture. We are all part of that, forming in this reality the dream of whatever's outside this reality, sort of thing. This is deep woo-woo strange stuff, but fits in. We discuss the implications of this and its deeper meanings and how we can bend and manipulate to our way of being. That's the first law. Second law is correspondence. And for anything to manifest, be manifested, or to even exist, there has to be correspondence, harmony, and agreement across all planes. When I talk about all planes, there's actually 12. Here's that 12 again. Going from chaos right the way through simple life, sentient life, us, mental, like physical, mental, spiritual, higher spirit, universe. There has to be harmony and agreement and correspondence across all those planes for anything to exist. If there isn't, that's when issues start to arise. And touching on it briefly, and it is the final protocol we do, the logos. The original word logos, where logo comes from, is the word, the reason, the understanding of. And Heraclius famously said in one of his fragments, the biggest issue is discourse among the logos that causes all problems in the world. A lack of reason and lack of correspondence across all the planes. So what the protocol that's tied to this is actually a communication across all your planes, your physical, your mental, your spiritual, and get an agreement across them all to help resolve whatever's going on. The next one's vibration. Everything vibrates, whether you look at science, physics. Just for an atom to exist, it has to vibrate. It's its base energy. It's always vibrating. As energy increases, as something gets hotter, it vibrates faster. This goes across everything. There is vibration in everything in the universe, even pure energy. Law of attraction talks about your vibration rate, how you're vibrating to attract other things. This goes into much more detail on the levels of vibration and how they correspond across the planes. And it also covers how to actually raise your vibration at will to suit. The next bit we discuss, the next law is the law of polarity. And again, this comes a lot from the Heraclius stuff. Polarity and opposites, because there are no opposites. Everything damp will dry. Everything dry will become moist. Everything that's hot will cool down. Everything that's cold will warm up. And where do you draw the line between any opposite? When does light become dark? When does hot become cold? When does anger become calm? When does pain become pleasure? Oh no, don't answer that one. Don't want to know your preferences there. Everything that we class as an opposite are actually just varying degrees of the same thing. So rather than turning down your anger, you want to actually change the degrees or its vibration, because anger is low vibration, calm is high. Pain is low, pleasure is high. Hate is low, love is high. Make sense? So rather than looking at removing something, look at changing its degree to the opposite, or its polar. And what we use there is a terminology called mental transmutation. Now, also linked in that is mental induction. Because when you mentally transmute anything from its low vibration to its high, you also have the power to induce that onto other people. And you've all experienced it. Walk in a room. You can walk in a room in a bad mood, and just the presence of that room can cheer you up. Or the opposite. You can walk in a good mood and suddenly you're in a bad mood. We have these people that just make us angry. Just seeing them, oh, not you again, sort of thing. That's mental induction. They are operating at either low or high, and they're affecting you through induction. If you understand that as a therapist, you can use that at will to affect your clients and the world around you, just in general. And again, there is a process to help you to mentally transmute anything and automatically use mental induction to put that out to others. It's more than just positive thinking. It's about physically changing that vibrational layer to a higher energy. All right with that? The next one's the law of rhythm. And this is where the phrase rise above comes from. Rise above your anger. Rise above other people. This sort of thing. Because everything has rhythm. When we talk about the polar opposites, you can't stay at one because you're always going backwards and forwards. That is just the natural state of things. And we do that on a physical level. And that can't be avoided. So abundance, lack. People will get a lot of money and then they're poor again, a lot of money, poor again. People will be ill, healthy, hungry, full, hungry, full. This is just the natural rhythm of life. And it counts across everything. The way you rise above that is you use the higher laws. So if it's something at the physical, you use the laws at the mental level to override the ones. In essence, as the swinging is happening at the low level, when it reaches where you want it to be, you jump up to the mental level and stay there. The swing carries on, but you're not experiencing the swing anymore. Now, people do that in a negative way. I'm going to think of fibromyalgia sufferers for a start. They will jump off at the bad swing, at the negative end, jump up mentally at the negative, and the mental health's affected as well, and they stay at the low energy side, while the swing's still happening below, but they've jumped off on the wrong end. So there's a whole exercise to show you how to jump off at the right point and rise above using the laws at the higher levels to override the ones at the lower. You can't break these laws, but you can override them with higher ones. You're looking really confused there, Rod. Following it, or is it beyond your beliefs? So I can't hear you, but I get it.
No, I was just thinking as you were saying it, I was processing it. That was all.
Yeah, that's fine. It gets even harder to process in the session. No worries, Helen. I'll speak to you next week anyway. Week after we're having an appointment, aren't we? Week after next. Yeah, we'll sort that out. So yeah, we use vibration. We rise to a high vibration to override the laws at the lower ones. And this fits in with what I've always said. You cannot fix a physical problem at the physical level. You have to go to the mental level to fix the physical. If it's a mental one, you need to rise to the spiritual level. If it's a spiritual one, you have to rise higher. And anything at the spiritual level, negative, will affect the ones lower down as well. Personal opinion, I think this is what the government are doing on purpose at the moment. With COVID and stuff, they are breaking people mentally and spiritually as well. They're breaking our spirit, which is going to accentuate everything else to make things worse. And like I said, we have a protocol which basically sits you on a pendulum and teaches you to jump off at the right point. And this fits in with a law of attraction with abundance and stuff like that as well. Then we go into cause and effect. And this is quite an interesting one. There is no such thing as luck or chance. Even the roll of a dice is not chance. The spin of the dice, the position of the atoms at the particular time, they all have a bearing on what the result's going to be. Luck only exists in the mind of what I call the half-wise. Now, the big understanding of this is when you realize there's no such thing as luck or chance, you start to look at cause and effect. When you start to look at cause and effect, you realize there is actually no cause. There is just a long series of events. And if you realize that there is just a long series of events, that shifts you from a position of blame to allow a higher level of forgiveness, which is really important. Give you an example of this. You're driving down the road and somebody drives into the back of you. Now you're automatically going to get angry and blame them. And they're going to fester on you all day. That bloody idiot driving behind me. But why did he do it? Maybe he'd had an argument with his wife on his way to work. And he was really stressed and not paying attention because he was thinking about that. So do you blame the wife? Maybe the wife had got up and trod in dog crap, getting out of bed. Weird example. I don't know where these examples come from. So do you blame the dog? But then the dog did that because it was desperate and it had eaten something wrong the day before. So do you blame whoever fed it that? Where does it stop? Who's to blame that Boris is such an idiot? The people that voted him in? Sorry if you like Boris, I don't do politics, I just make comments. But no, where do you stop with the blame? Maybe you shouldn't even start and just accept and deal. Now, where this comes in really big is, or a better understanding of this, is countries where they don't have a word for blame, mainly Spain and China. They don't have it in their language to blame. They will say something like, the vase broke itself, if somebody knocked a vase off. Not, we would say, you broke that. The Spanish or the Chinese would say, it broke itself. I would say, if we had an accident, I broke my leg. Have you? Why'd you do that then? Because that's not what that implies. I've broken my leg physically. Well, you're an idiot then if you've done that. It broke itself. Takes away the blame. Now, interestingly as well, in these cultures, in the legal system, there's much more focus on victims than there is perpetrators. And the victims get a hell of a lot more support because it focuses on not who's to blame, but who's suffered because of it. Isn't that a nicer way to be? But that's the same with us. We are a society, even worse nowadays with insurance companies and stuff, where everything has somebody to blame. Who can we blame for this? Maybe it was just a series of events that happened to this point, and we need to accept it. If we can eliminate blame, then we can allow true forgiveness to happen. And not forgiving anybody is not hurting them, it's only hurting you. And these are the principles behind things like Ho'oponopono, anything that uses forgiveness. I think Buddha says it as holding resentment against somebody for something they've done is like holding a piece of hot coal to throw at them. They don't care. It's you that's getting hurt. So this is the forgiveness part. And it's understanding that. Just see why I'm buzzing. That's okay. So that's the section on cause and effect. And I can't remember what protocol is tied to that. There is something. Bear with me. I only did this last year, so last session. Correspondence. Yeah, the protocol there is we put you in a courtroom where you are judge, jury, and executioner, and you get to bring anything, place, person, thing, in to the court, and you absolve them of everything. Very powerful. I like that one. Can't believe I forgot it. And then the final bit on there is gender, because everything has gender. And I'm not talking about sex as in male and female, but masculine and feminine. One of the points on this is we have throughout history been a very patriarchal society where men rule. So the feminine aspect has always been underplayed. However, the understanding is the feminine of anything creates from what it's given, similar to the way a woman does creating a baby, whereas the masculine creates from itself. Not being crude, but again, exactly what a bloke does in procreation. And this carries across all planes. And at the mental level, we have the masculine and the feminine in the conscious and the unconscious. So in therapy, we talk about the conscious and the unconscious mind. In this aspect, it's actually 4 parts. The I and the me, I masculine, me feminine, of the conscious, and the I and the me of the unconscious. Most people operate from the me, and they react. They feedback what they've already heard, they talk about what they've read, stuff like that. That's done from the me. The I is the part that creates. So an author, an artist, a songwriter, me with Sanomentology, influencers that can talk to people and influence them. They are speaking from the I or writing from the I of the unconscious rather than the me. Now, I think all this on the spiritual side, what they talk about the third eye, I think that's a mistranslation. I don't think it's an eye as in seeing, because anybody that portrays to use their third eye don't see. They hear, feel, sense in all different ways. The third eye to me is actually the eye of the unconscious rather than the me, the part that creates from itself based on logic and reason. Again, we're going into that in a lot more detail. But to be a great therapist, you need to work from your I and not your me, because you need to create the scenario for them rather than just feedback to them. And that is also the best way to actually live. Operate more from the I than the me. You're going to create your life rather than just react to life being around you. Our perceived sense of freedom is only freedom because the me says it is. But you actually haven't got any freedom unless you're operating from the I. Because everything you do from the me, every choice you make is predictable based on everything you've been through in your life, unless you do it from your I. Make sense? Or completely confused? So that's the gender aspect. And we don't go through a protocol through that. You are given homework for that, to actually work with other people and learn to speak from your I rather than your me. Assess what you're saying and think about, am I saying this through something I've created myself, or am I just copying somebody else when I say this? So that's that section. We end all of this, and this isn't in the prospectus because it was a newbie added on, with the final protocol in the training at this moment in time. There's 4 more protocols being written at the moment, but we end at this moment in time with what we call logos. I touched on it briefly earlier. And this part of the logos is the reason and the word. They are the two skills that we are unique, put my teeth in, unique at possessing as human beings. No other animal in the world has the power that we have to reason or the power of the word. And they are great powers indeed. But unfortunately, a lot of people have forgotten how to use them. They use their words badly and they just can't reason. Just go on your Facebook wall when we finish the call and read some of the stuff and look for any reason in it. So people have lost that. Now, there's a lot more to this. The whole point of Logos and the reason is to actually not just agree 1 + 1 = 2 because it's logic and it does, but look at why it does. Bad example because it does because we've been told it does, but it's a lot deeper than that. The protocol and the reason for it to exist as a ending session is during the protocol we remove all the programming that makes us just jump to conclusions without reason, so it builds up the power of reason, but it also puts you in a safe place, a place of perfect bliss, and you create your own power word to be able to return to that place anytime you like, because that's the other part of Logos, the word, which then got used in religion. Logos being God and the word of God, and Jesus was supposedly Logos in the flesh, the word of God in flesh. My personal belief is we are all of that. We are, each one of us is that. And we have the power of the word for ourselves. So we're creating a power word that overrides all our negative self-speak and everything else that we say to ourselves that puts us in a bad place. And that's how we end the protocols. And you form your own word. It's not a word I give you because it's your own word of God for yourself being God, if you like. Yeah, confused myself there a little bit. So that today is everything that you learn on the training. And that takes about 15 days. As I said, there's 4 more protocols being written at the moment. There's the Grand Rising, repatriation. Oh, I can't think of the other 2. Mine's gone blank. They're all in process there. And of course, they all get added just as we go along. So, any questions on any of that? Does that give you a full insight into everything you're going to learn? And hopefully the realization it's not like anything you've learned before. Yeah. I just realized we're down to 3 of you. Okay. So, like I've already touched on, once you've done the training, as soon as you sign up, you get access to the private group. You do get an electronic copy of the manual to print off yourself. However, it is 400 pages nearly. So it would probably be easier and better for you to just buy that, which is only available to licensed practitioners. I think it's about 40 quid, but it is a hardback printing of everything so far in a nice, tidy place. Or if you've got an iPad, you can just put the PDF on your iPad, use it from there. But that is, the actual manual is a full, comprehensive, everything I cover, but it's written almost like a transcript of me training. I don't want people to look at the manual and think, oh, what was that again? You can read it and get everything from it, which is why the book's not on sale to the public. There will be a copy on sale to the public that will be very redacted without any of the stuff in it. So you get that. You get access to the group for life if you're on the full package. You will be treated with respect, confidence by not just me, everybody in the group. Very strict on that. You can ask questions concerning protocols, clients, training, anything else you need to ask. You have access to me, you have access to the rest of the team for personal stuff, because the aim of it is to make you the best you can be in all aspects. I don't need to go through what the teams say because you've seen most of that. I've covered most of me. You don't need any prior training to any of this. We have a mix in our team of people that have come straight from other jobs. We've got police officers, we've got army, we've got accountants. What else have we got? Nurses, doctors, corporate workers, all sorts. They've all come in doing a great job, and obviously therapists as well, just adding it as a tool. It is insurable with it being covered. So that's everything I've really got to tell you about the program. Any questions?
How many times a year does the program have an entry to it?
The next one's November the 2nd.
Yeah.
Start every week.
What level is that, Martin?
Well, that's that'll be for the advanced. That'll be the full program.
All right.
But if you wanted, people can come in on that, on the basic, which is without all the support, or the advanced, which is the lifetime. I will probably wait a couple of weeks and I'll start on another day in the week as well. Obviously, you've always got access to the videos as well. The one-to-one and the small groups are organised as suits. So anyone that wants to do like the one-to-one, we just arrange it between us to suit. I try to run the course as much as I can, basically, throughout the year, several times a year.
Oh, thank you.
I'll probably do another block one again early next year as well. Do it in a full week to try and tie it across, well, full 3 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just pause because this isn't. For anyone that's watching the video, if you do want to sign up, you've seen the prices on the website. For people who have come through this video to do it, you will get the advanced full lifetime for the price of the basic. So sign up for the basic, I think it's 1.5-ish, and you'll get the 2.5 package. Because you've dedicated some time to me today, I think that warrants that sort of reward back. So that's the offer for anyone that's come through watching this video. And if you're watching it offline on the recording, hopefully you've gone through the whole thing before you've heard this. But that offer's there. Just get in touch with me and let me know that you've watched it, and you'll get straight in like that. So I didn't pause, so I don't need to restart. So that just leaves us to give you a demonstration. Now, for anyone at home that's watching this on a recording, I'm afraid this is where you miss out, because I'm not going to record the demonstration. This is only for the people that have joined me for the day. So mainly Joanna and Rod, and Alexandra always loves to re-experience. So I'm going to run you through the backup plan just to help with your belief and confidence, because that's good for everybody in life, isn't it? So we will take a break first. I know Rod's disappeared. When we come back, we'll have 10 minutes this time. Nip to the loo, get a drink, anything else you need to do. When we come back, I need you to try and minimize disruptions as much as you can. It doesn't take long, probably about half an hour. Make sure you're comfortable, make sure you're safe, you're not going to fall off a chair or anything, because you probably will go quite deep. And we just enjoy the process. And then it'll be final questions, anything else you want to say. And that's it, we're done. I can't spread it out till 3, I can't ramble on much. I expected a lot more people on with a lot more questions. So yeah, we'll just call it at that. So I don't know if you can hear me, Rod, at the moment. You probably can't. If he comes back, if somebody else can just tell him. We'll come back at 25 past. Get yourselves comfy, and we'll do a demonstration of the backup plan.
Thank you.
All right, guys?
Yeah, thanks.
See you in 10 minutes.